They should be happy. I mean, to be honest with you, when you think about it, Damon's been very loyal to this organization. And Portland's been very loyal to him when you think about the compensation and what they paid him. So they should be excited. I think Dame wants to give Chauncey a chance. I think he has that much respect for Chauncey. One as a player, and knowing this is going to be his first year, and to see if Chauncey can, help them get over the threshold. But it's tough. I mean, I feel for Dame because you've accomplished everything in your career except really winning on the big stage and playing in the finals and playing for an NBA championship. So I understand his frustrations. I'm glad he's giving Chauncey a chance, being he's a first-year coach, to see if he can maybe get them over the hump. But they got to be happy that he's willing to stay this year at least, because Dame has the option to really leave if he really wants to. And I think Portland can respect that because both parties have been great to each other.
Okay, Antoine, here's the thing, and I agree with. I like the fact that Dame is giving Chauncey a chance. But part of being an NBA champion is, like Chauncey is kind of knowing if you have a championship team. And it's hard for me to believe that Chauncey looks at that roster, even with how good Dame is, and says, are we better than the Lakers? Probably not. Are we better than Phoenix? Probably not. Are we better than the Jazz? Maybe not. Are we better than Dallas? Probably not. And that's just the West. So for me, you have to be honest and be like, the best chance for Chauncey to succeed, who I want to see Chauncey succeed, I want to see Chauncey win a championship as a coach, just like Ty Lue. Ty Lue and Chauncey's are buddies. I would think it would be wonderful if they had similar paths. Player championship, coaching championship. I think it's a Ben Simmons for Dame deal. And I don't know who says no to that. Portland would be doing right by Dame by sending him to Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, he was immediately in a championship system. Ben would go to Portland, and they would have to basically restart that team and build it around Ben. Guess what Ben loves? Defense. Guess what Chauncey won his championships? Defense and team ball. Distributing the ball. It's not a star thing. Ben's not going to be like the 30-point guy. He can be just like Chauncey. All 5 guys will score double figures. Chauncey for Ben. Who says no, Antoine? Not Chauncey for Ben. Don't think Chauncey for Ben. Sorry, Dame for Ben. John, don't take the coach for a player.
Chauncey for Ben.
Kev, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think going to Philly gets him into championship conversation. I know. Don't get me wrong. I love a Bean, but I still like Milwaukee. They're not better than Portland. You got very competitive teams in the East when you think about Milwaukee, Boston, Atlanta's on the upcoming. It still gets tough in the East. It's not easy anymore. So just picking your team and saying Philly and thinking Dame is going to get you over the hump, I'm not sold on Embiid. Now, don't get me wrong. Embiid had an unbelievable year, but it's still the question marks is on Embiid. Can he get you over the hump, and can he be healthy to get you over the hump? So the grass is not always greener elsewhere. You got to make sure you go to the right team.
All right, so a couple things. And I hate to do this to Antoine because I love to have him back and I've missed him. And I should have told you this off the air. But Antoine, you have something in your eye. I think it's a Celtic shamrock that you should take out because you're including them amongst the Eastern Conference contenders. Give me a break. But set that aside. I do think that Dame plus Embiid get you on the very short list. Now, is that enough to be better than a healthy Brooklyn? Maybe not, but a healthy Brooklyn is like a double rainbow. You've heard about it, but have you ever actually seen one in real life? I don't know. And Milwaukee, I think, is the favorite, but we'll see what happens with Milwaukee. But I think if you have Embiid and Dame, you have 2 of the 12 best players in the sport. And if you have 2 of the 12 best players in the sport, you are in the conversation. But I do think this is actually, like, Portland fans feel relieved, while Philly fans gotta feel really bummed. Because the only way that they were going to be able to get demonstrably better was this exact trade. And I don't think Portland does Ben for Dame straight up, but I do think they do Ben and Maxey and a couple picks, or Ben and Maxey and Tybal for Dame. Like, I think Philly has the war chest ready to make that happen. But and I think it would be good for Portland Wilds. But they're not doing it unless Dame tells them to do it. And this, to me, is not necessarily a signal Dame's going to be there all year. This is a signal, though, Dame's going to be there the first game. You can't say this and then have it change before a game is played. I don't think that's in Dame's, history or character. I don't think that's what he's going to do. And so now all of a sudden for Philly, it is really going to be, can we sustain Ben Simmons playing in front of these fans to start the year? Are we willing to deal with all of that while we hold the fort, trying to wait for this trade? Because if not, you can make a Ben Simmons trade today. There's a lot of teams that want it. But there is not another superstar available, and Beal's not quite a superstar, but he's a star, but he's not fully available, and Dame evidently is not available. So I think Philly hears this and is super bummed out. I think they are more bummed than Portland fans are relieved.
So Philly fans have been nothing but supportive of Ben. He misses his first free throw, they cheer him on. He misses his second free throw, they still cheer him on. He shoots a brick from three when he occasionally took one. They would cheer, make or miss. So Philly has been so supportive of Ben. There's a narrative out there that Philly's going to turn heel on Ben. He'll never be able. That's not true. There's no evidence for that. Just because in the 70s Santa Claus got pelted with a battery or a snowball, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But quickly, and here's the thing about Portland. I will go harder at Portland fans. Portland, I know it's easy to be like, hey, Dame's not leaving. Portland fans should be relieved. No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Portland fans are being selfish right now. If you really love Dame Lillard, and Dame Lillard has showed you so much loyalty, you know what you should say? Hey, Dame Lillard, we haven't done right by you. You should go. We love you. We'll retire your number while you're still playing. When Philadelphia comes over, we'll retire your number early. We'll build a statue out there for it. You can pose in front of it. But they know they can't win. Why are they relieved? So they have another playoff early exit? They should root for Dame, have him go, tear the franchise down, do a little miniature teardown, bring Ben in. You got him for a long time. Let Chauncey build a real team. And if you get Tybal, holy cow, that's like mini Pistons. Chauncey's ready to go. Portland should let Dame leave. It's sad but true.
Listen, like I said before, both parties, Kev, you're right. Both parties should, come to a mutual agreement. If Dame really wants out, you want to make sure, obviously, you put him in a position to win a championship. But also, Portland don't want to give their franchise player up and not get something in return to obviously keep their franchise going. Well, I do like Ben. I don't think Ben and Embiid is a good match for each other. A guy that doesn't want to shoot the ball from the point guard, point forward, however you want to say it, position, does not work well with Embiid. So if that's a situation that Dame wants to go to, you make it happen. But I think this is a situation that you talk to Dame, and kind of like the James Harden thing, where James Harden picked he wanted to be in Brooklyn. I think you give him that much credit. If he feels like it's a certain team or a super team out there where he can just join and have a legitimate championship situation, why not give him that chance? I think Dame has been fair to the organization. I think the organization has been great to him. And this is one of these rare situations in basketball. Kind of reminds me of Kevin Garnett's situation, where he was fair to Minnesota. He did all he could do for Minnesota to try to help them win and get them the hump. And Minnesota rewarded him with a situation to play with Ray Allen and Paul Pierce. So I think this is the same thing that you can do for Dame. Like I said, obviously Chauncey's my guy. Yeah. I'm going to be rooting for Chauncey this year. I want him to have an opportunity. But probably on paper, they're not a championship team, but they are a team that can be a very 5-6 seed in the Western Conference and be competitive.
Yeah, I think Dame doesn't.
But I don't think Dame wants to get bounced in the first round. He wants to be able to at least get out the first round, get the second round. And I think, that's something that he wants to do. So until Portland can convince them of that, you're going to have this conversation going on all year.
And it's such an odd spot because Wildes is right. If you were to remove all emotion and all, by the way, short-term finances for a relatively speaking small market, even though the ownership's as wealthy as any people in the world, the right move for the organization on a 100-yard view is turn the page because your ceiling is the second round of the playoffs. I know they made the conference finals a few years ago. That was an aberration. But when you're a one-sport city up in the Pacific Northwest, it is so, and you've got one of the 12 best players in the sport, who not only is one of the best players in the sport, one of the most fun players to watch because of how he plays, and a guy who causes no problems, goes about his business. If he's saying, I'm not leaving, you're not going to be like, dang, you should leave. You're just going to say thank you so much and put your arms around him, even if it's short-sighted, Jenna.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.